UFC 295 is officially over, which sadly means we only have 4 cards left for the year. We end the year off December 16th in Las Vegas T-Mobile Arena, I believe, with Leon Edwards taking on Colby Covington for the 170-pound title. And newly announced today, we actually kick off 2024, January 13th, with a rematch. We definitely need. It ended controversially, but we've got Magomed Ankalaev taking on Johnny Walker for the rematch. We finally get an answer for that one. But regardless of how we're ending this year, starting next year, we've got 2 new champions and a card to discuss. So let's get into that. Record on the picks, we went 8-4-1. Not awful, not bad. I'd say it's a little bit above average. It is what it is. Not too bad. And then Savage Rounds Parlay. I have to take full responsibility of this one. We've had some unfortunate happenings, like Fiziev blowing his knee out. And I think there were 2 other ones that ended like completely out of our control, I guess no fights in your control, but something I couldn't have read. This one, like I said, I take responsibility. Picking Mackenzie Dern was an awful read on my part. Got to do better there, so we'll regroup and get back for the next Savage Rounds Parlay, get back on track. Still up 3.17, so not where we should be, but we'll get back to where we need to be. We'll end the year off strong, 4 in a row. I feel like we can definitely do that. I like next week's card a lot, but we'll talk about that later in the week. Kicking it off, we had Dennis Bajukia taking on Jamal Emmers, and I picked Emmers in that one. Did not see it going that way. I thought Emmers, kind of how it started off and looked, I thought Emmers was just going to be able to piece him up slowly throughout the 3 rounds, but he was able to find that big shot to put Bajukia out early in the first, and it was a really good way to kick off the card, to be honest. And next up, Joshua Van versus Borjas was also a sick way to start the card. 2 really fun flyweights going at it. I think a lot of people underestimated Borjas' skill level in general. I think most people picked Van to win, but I think a lot of people thought he was going to blow through him. He was able to drop him in the first and gave him a very competitive fight. His cardio didn't quite hold on how he would need it to, though, and that is a credit to Joshua Van. I don't know for sure if he broke it or not, but possibly breaking the record for most body shots thrown in a flyweight fight. It was ridiculous how he worked the body. His boxing combos are so slick. Very sick, fun fight. And Joshua Van was able to get it done. Next up, John Castaneda beat Kyung Ho Kang. Not quite the way I thought it was going to go, but I mean, it was a close fight, and with the weight miss, I wasn't willing to put too much stock into it. But I did think Castaneda was gonna get the win. Good on him. Not really much to say about that one. And then my first dog pick of the night, I took Marco Madsen to beat Jared Gordon. The beginning of the fight started out how I thought it was going to be. I loved the straight shots down the middle from Madsen. He was able to do good clinch work, keep Gordon moving back, maybe not get all the takedowns, because Gordon's got relatively good takedown defense, and he's pretty good getting up. So I just thought he needed to continue to work those. I thought he had at least 2 rounds of that in him. That's what I was hoping for. 2 rounds of that same kind of work. We've seen him go strong for 2 rounds before, and then the 3rd round is typically where he tails off. But man, his cardio gave out on him in the first round tonight. In that fight. So we missed there. It was going how I thought it was gonna go, but he wasn't able to do it long enough. Good on Jared Gordon. I didn't think he would be able to find the finish, to be honest, unless it was like late 3rd, but in the first round was crazy. Good work. Next up, Nazim Sadykhov taking on Slavoklaus Vyacheslav Borshev. Really, really sick fight. Back and forth, both really technical strikers. Sadykhov hurt Borshev, which I thought if anybody was going to hurt somebody, it was going to be the other way around. Slavoklaus hurting Sadykhov. But it was kind of almost flipped in the way the rounds went. I thought if anyone was going to be a bit more steady, it would have been Sadykhov, like winning minutes, working the wrestling, being a little more steady, and Borshev landing like the big shots to find the big moments, but it was kind of flipped in that respect. Now I picked Sadykhov, but I didn't really have any like skin in the game betting wise, so I was kind of unbiasedly watching, and I really, really think there's definitely an argument to be made for that to be a 29-28 win for Borshev. I think giving a 10-8 in the second round for Sadykhov, I'm kind of questioning it. It didn't feel like a 10-8 for me, and I think by the rule is a complete domination of a round. Borshev was doing fine in that round up until he got clipped. It wasn't like this one-way traffic for most of the round, and Sadykhov clipped Borshev with, or I won't even say clipped him. He hurt him pretty bad. It was a nice hook behind the ear, and then caught him with a mean head kick. But it just like the duration of the domination from Sadykhov wasn't enough. It wasn't long enough for it to be a 10-8 for me. It happened after the halfway mark, if I'm remembering correctly. So I understand where people are coming from, but I really think it's close to a 10-8, but not quite in my opinion. I would have given that 10-9 and given Borshev the win. That's how I scored it, but regardless, 2 judges gave it the draw. I think 1 judge did score for Borshev. It is what it is. Nothing really happens there with the draw. Rebecki Roberts. Did anybody see that going any way differently? I threw out the Rebecki round 1, round 2 prop. So if you were able to get on, that, good on you. Lupi Godinez taking on Tabitha Ricci also went about the way I thought it would. Ricci not being able to get the takedowns because of Lupi Godinez's takedown defense, and on the feet, I said it 1,000 times. Ricci is continually improving on the feet. She's getting better and better. But I thought there was a step above for Godinez in like the pure boxing aspect. Ricci might be quicker, but she doesn't put combinations together like Lupi. She doesn't have the pop Lupi has. And on the feet, Lupi was able to win that decision. Pretty good from her. Erceg Costa, my next miss. Another underdog. And to be honest, I feel okay with the bet, with the play, with the pick. It felt like the right side. I think going into that third round, we're up 2-0 for Costa if Costa doesn't get clipped in the end of the first, which was an unfortunate way for the round to end, but it happens how it happens. I still like Costa in that spot. I think especially that being a short notice fight, if he was on a full camp, like maybe his cardio is not like the best of the best, but I think he would have been able to fight back a little bit more in the third round. So unfortunately, he got dropped at the end of the first, and it being short notice, that cardio didn't really hold up in the third, but I was counting on those first 2 rounds to go Costa's way, and we were so close. If he didn't get clipped, like I said, at the end of that first, I think we take that bet. So unfortunate there. It happens. Like I said, we'll regroup and cook again for next week. Next up, Lopez Sabatini. I threw out Lopez round 1. I bet that. I pretty much said, and to be honest, I may have been wrong saying this, but I said Lopez I called it a Hail Mary finish, but that's how he fights. He's going to find a finish if he's winning. So he needed that finish. I thought Sabatini was going to be the minute winner. I thought Lopez was going to accept the bottom spot a little more on the ground. Sabatini was going to get the takedowns a little bit easier. But I was wrong there. Lopez, I think he shot like 2 or 3 takedowns before Sabatini was put out. And Lopez shucked those off with ease. He was the much bigger man in there. Maybe not like muscle physically wise, but like there was a big height difference. And I think that played a pretty big part in how Lopez was able to shuck those takedowns off quite easily. So really good performance from Lopez. Again, another finish. Puts himself right up there for newcomer of the year, rookie of the year, whatever they call it in MMA, with Elvis Brenner. So 2 Brazilians biting for that award, I would say. Next up, I told y'all, I don't know how anybody saw it going any other way. Benoit Saint-Denis is not the brawler you guys think he is. I don't know why everybody seems to think he is. He's a very, very good pressure kickboxer. He moves forward. He's a huge guy. And the grappling advantage was always going to be there. We didn't really have to see too much of the grappling, but I think Frivola being worried about the body kicks, I think Saint-Denis only threw 1 or 2 up until that point when he landed the head kick. But if you watch Saint-Denis tape, which I have to assume Matt Frivola or somebody in his camp did, told him to watch out for the body kicks because of how vicious they are, how often he throws them. And Frivola backing up out of that little engagement they had, backed out with his hands down. Completely, I don't know if he was guarding the body or if it was just backing out lazily, but Saint-Denis fired that head kick. He saw the opportunity and crushed Frivola. I said he was going to steamroll the steamroller. I know it's not like some crazy pick. He was minus 235, but there were a lot more dog picks on Frivola than I thought warranted it. So, happy with how that fight went. I love Benoit. We should get to see him with a ranking next to his name here when the rankings come out Tuesday, which is tomorrow. So after After those rankings come out, I'll do some matchmaking. But next up, awful read on my part. Like I said, I take full responsibility for this one. The Mackenzie Dern pick was bad. She went out there and chose to brawl with Jessica Andrade. She did shoot a couple takedowns and wasn't able to get them like I thought. She got one early, but then after that, it was more like a head and arm throw trip kind of deal. And after that, she wasn't able to get any like traditional takedowns that she shot. She got shucked off pretty easily. I thought she was going to be able to back Andrade up to the fence more. But when she was going in for combinations, throwing, and like I said, her striking isn't great, but she throws those little blitzes where she wrestles in, and she has okay power. She was tagging Andrade with them just fine, but every time she went in, it was like she was like leaving her chin out there on purpose, asking to get smoked. And Andrade lined it up a few times, dropped her 3 times, I think, and on that third one, Dern was not getting back up, so the ref jumped in there, stopped it. Really cool to see Andrade get back on the horse, but like I said, bad read on my part. I've got to do better there. We get to the co-main and main event. I was happy for one, sad for the other. Tom Aspinall, great performance. I said his footwork was going to be better. He was going to be too fast. He was the bigger guy. We didn't really have to see the grappling, or we didn't see the grappling at all. But yeah, Pavlovich clipped him once. Tom ate it very well. And one of the next few times they went to exchange, Aspinall lands a huge right hand that kind of puts Pavlovich on skates, clips him again with another shot. He goes down. I almost said Pavloval. I mixed their names. Aspinall jumps on top, lands a few good ground and pound shots, and the ref waves it off. Tom Aspinall knew it was always going to happen this way. Tom is just the better mixed martial artist in general. I just like if you know what Pavlovich is going to do, and you're not going to exchange with him every time, you should be able to avoid that if you're of the skill level Aspinall is, with the footwork and the IQ and the boxing prowess in general, the Muay Thai clinch. There's just so many options for Aspinall, and he's just a better martial artist in my opinion. We'll definitely see Pavlovich win more fights though, just because of his big, huge power and the style in which he fights. He'll definitely get more wins. So excited to see him back. Excited to see what they do with Tom Aspinall, because he's talking about defending at UFC 300 in April. Obviously that wouldn't be against John. I don't know if they want to give him Stipe. I don't think they give him Stipe. I think they're waiting for John Jones Stipe. Tom wants Pavlovich, or not Pavlovich, what's his name? Gane and Almeida to fight. I don't really know if he wants to fight in April. I think he has to fight one of Almeida or Gane. I don't think there's other options, to be honest. So I don't know. We'll see how that plays out. Like I said, excited to see how that one goes. And then in the main event, Jerry Prochazka. Very sad about that one. Not overly sad. I wanted Jerry to win. I still like Pereira a lot. I think he's outside of the cage. I find him very amusing. He's super funny to me, and obviously he's always fun to watch fight. So, it was sick. Pereira with those leg kicks, man. He doesn't rotate or flip the hips at all. There's no way to see it coming, and the power he generates without rotating his hips is ridiculous. He was spinning Jerry Prochazka around pretty much every leg kick he threw. You could see after like 2 or 3, his leg was already starting to bruise up. The longer that fight went, if he kept working that leg kick, which he was obviously going to, it was just going to keep getting worse, Jerry's leg. So it was just... the read was like there and not there, because when Jerry was moving forward, throwing those wild combinations, he didn't hurt Pereira, but he definitely tagged him a couple times, let him know the power is there. So I think if he... But that was always the danger with this fight. If you were rushing Pereira, the left hook is going to come, and he got clipped with the right, sat down with the left, and that was always what it was going to be. Whoever lands first out of these 2 big guys. Jerry's style lends to him getting clipped. He did good grappling early in the or towards the end of the first. And yeah, I mean, he needed to land first. He wasn't able to, and Pereira capitalized with the wild style, the hands down. He was able to capitalize on that. So really fun fight. I think in the moment I was kind of calling the stoppage early, but if you watch it back, he was hurt pretty bad. And I wouldn't say I'm mad at the stoppage, and I think it was early, but I do think Jerry probably deserved a chance to see if he could fight out of that situation, because as soon as the ref calls him up, he's still there moving, he gets up. So I think it's wrong to scream awful stoppage, bad stoppage to Mark Goddard, but also I think there is a case to be made that Jiri probably deserved in a title fight to see if he could fight out of that situation. There's a very big chance he eats a couple shots from that position and he goes out regardless. So some people could say he was saved, but we'll never know. That's the point I'm trying to make. He deserved to see if he could fight out of that position. But regardless, like I said, it wasn't a bad stoppage by any means. There was a chance to let it go or not. Mark Goddard chose to stop it. But like I said, screaming it was awful is not the correct move in my opinion. But we get on to my personal awards, or like the awards I would have given out. Fight of the night felt pretty easy to me. You kind of have to go there. I guess there was two options, but one of them just felt like the better option to me. I had to go with Nazim Sadykhov versus Slava Claus. Slava Claus is such a sick, fun striker to watch. The speed at which he strikes, the combinations he puts together with the hands. He's got sneaky power too. And Sadykhov made it a war in that second round, coming back, trying to take over from there. Lands that big shot to put him on skates, drops him with the head kick, just wasn't able to get him out of there on the ground. And then in that same sentence, in the third round, the recoverability from Slava Claus to come back and decisively win that third round, not get clipped anymore, and really put it on Sadykhov was so impressive. I really think Slava Claus earned a lot of fans there with that one. The other option, you could have gone Van Borjas, but I think the Sadykhov-Borshev one for me edges it just a bit. Performance of the night, I believe I went with 4. I'll bring them all out. We're going Diego Lopez, Benoit Saint-Denis, and the 2 title winners, Tom Aspinall and Alex Pereira. All sick finishes, all in the first round other than Pereira. Pereira had to extend to the second round just a bit. I think there were a couple other finishers you could have thrown in there for performance of the night. Jamal Emmers had a decent shout for it. Jared Gordon had a decent shout for it. Rebecca, even Andrade's finish. But these were the 4 that were the best and like they meant the most, because Diego Lopez, his stock continues to rise. Well, I guess I'll talk about this for the winner section, because to be honest, all the finishes earned them performance of the night, but also the circumstances around the finishes for all of them to me made them the same 4, throwing him in the winners category. Diego Lopez, like I said, the stock continues to rise. Another sick, fast finish in the first round, and I think that probably puts him right alongside Elvis. I'd have to think a little bit more, because off the top, this is just what I think, but this puts him right next to Elvis Brenner for newcomer or fighter or rookie of the year, whatever you want to call it. So I think it's those 2 Brazilians neck and neck for it. Benoit Saint-Denis, he continues to steamroll opponents. I think this is 4 or 5 finishes in a row now. And this one, I think a lot of people were picking Frevola as the dog, and absolutely smokes him, makes his case for the top 15. I think Frevola was 14, so he probably comes in at 14. Frevola drops to 15, or maybe Frevola drops out of the rankings, I'm not sure, but Benoit earning himself a spot in the rankings there makes him one of the winners of the night. And then the main 2, obviously, if you win a title, either becoming and new or defending and still, I mean, you kind of have to be the winner of the night. The belt is what everyone's hunting here. So Pereira, 2-weight world champion in 2 organizations, Glory Kickboxing and the UFC. He's got to be thrown in the hat for one of the best combat sports fighters of all time. Combat sports athletes, I guess you would say. And Tom Aspinall finally coming to realize, I guess not even fully yet, but like we're on the way to him fully realizing his potential. He grabs the interim belt. He's so close to being the undisputed champion of the world. I think we probably see that by the end of 2024. And yeah, those big moments, the big circumstances, they have to be in the winners category. And for worst night, bad night, who had a rough night, I didn't want to call them losers, because obviously they're still doing what they love, making money, so it's tough to call them losers. But who had the worst night? I'm giving it to a collective. 3 dudes came out of this gym. Law MMA had a tough night. I think they went 0-2-1, and there's a good shout for them to have gone 0-3. I think the 10A round definitely helped Sadykhov get that tie. And like I said, there's a good for, at least for me, a good shout for that to have been scored a normal 10-9 round, and Borshev takes the win there. But unfortunate night for Law MMA. Two of their dudes got smoked in the first, and Sadykhov, like I said, the draw. So unfortunate night for Law MMA. And yeah, next week, tomorrow, we're doing matchmaking. We're going Joshua Van, Steve Erceg, Diego Lopez, Matt Frivola, Benoit Saint Denis, Jessica Andrade, Sergey Pavlovich, Tom Aspinall, Jerry Prochazka, and Alex Pereira. There are a few obvious, maybe only one or two obvious ones, but I think a lot of these are some fun matchups. Obviously, the Josh Van one, he isn't like high ranked or anything, but I'd love to pick who I think he's going to fight next. It'd be really fun. And then this upcoming weekend, one of the final 4 cards of the year, we've got a fight night. Brendan Allen taking on Paul Craig. Paul Craig, the new 185er. He beat Andre Muniz in his first middleweight fight, so I think this is fighting for parental rights over Andre Muniz. But yeah, so we've got this coming up this weekend, matchmaking tomorrow. Drop a like and subscribe. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.